unfortunately what occurred was that over a 2-week period, Sheikh Omar, who has quite a history involved in the kidnapping, the hijacking of airplanes out of India, and affiliations with various hardcore jihadi organizations, had very carefully plotted and planned this kidnapping of Danny. He had set it up where he had given Danny information and promised this interview with Sheikh Gilani, which Sheikh Gilani, as it turned out, had no idea his name was even being used.
I had an opportunity to sit on an interview with Sheikh Gilani. And in 15 minutes within the interview, our feelings were that Sheikh Gilani was not involved in this.
His name is Sheikh Mubarak Gilani, a mysterious figure out of the world of Islam. He is said to be a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. The Sheikh has thousands of disciples who live right here in the United States.
Will you hope if somebody, some Christian does something wrong? No?
This is the Sheikh that Daniel Pearl was trying to interview. And everything about him, everything he said, seemed at odds with what we expected, including his next answer.
It does seem the concern is whether you have all of these militant Muslims in America operating as essentially sleeper cells ready to surface at a given moment to carry out a horrible act of destruction.
Why? Give me one reason. In America, the Muslims are better than any part of the world.
The Americans?
Yes. They have more freedom. They have more facilities of life. Where they will go? Okay, they do something wrong in America, where they will go? I don't want them. They're their country. The American Muslims are better off in America than anywhere else, and they will never do anything wrong against their country. That's my directive to you and to them.
Sheikh Gilani has spent his life teaching, reforming, and giving support to the downtrodden people throughout the world, including the freedom fighters of Kashmir.
I floated Kashmiri Microfriendly Society, and I helped. It is the duty of the United Nations to, give right to the Kashmiri for self-determination. And instead of doing that, the United Nations started insurgency from both sides.
According to a press release published in 2002 by the United Nations, in 1947, 2 new nations, Pakistan and India, had emerged in South Asia. They had been precursors of the wave of decolonization and emancipation on the basis of the right to self-determination. But having achieved its own liberation, India had chosen to deny self-determination to the people of Kashmir. The document goes on to say that instead of pursuing its present strategy of force and fraud, India must acknowledge that a durable solution must be based on the wishes and aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, as envisaged in the resolution of the Security Council.
The people of Kashmir have always stood for their freedom against Indian occupation. This freedom has always been suppressed by the presence of Indian army and security forces in the area. Today, Kashmir stands all alone. As world awareness is being kept at a distance, the reality in Kashmir remains shrouded. Behind the smokescreen of Indian propaganda, children are killed for crimes not committed. Girls are raped, and young men are tortured and slain to death for nothing but a search for freedom. Kashmir lies insecure at the hands of Indian security forces.
Banat Noor International, under the auspices of CAFS, Kashmir American Friendship Society, visited women in Kashmir who were gang rape victims violated by Israeli and Indian soldiers who bombed their homes. CAFS, which comprised of Americans and Pakistanis, gave food, money, and sympathy to these oppressed people. They gave them a voice in the Islamic Post and the world over through rallies and demonstrations. This video is actually the property of the Kashmir freedom fighters and in no way, shape, or form have anything to do with the 22 MOA villages in the United States of America. The villages are peaceful residences where families live in harmony with their neighbors and local community. The real enemies of America are the globalists, who are an elite group of Zionists, multi-billionaires whose aim is world domination through a new world government. This hidden hand will stop at nothing big or small to achieve their goal.
Last week, the head of the country's central bank floated the idea of dumping the greenback as the world's reserve currency, replacing it with an international currency.
Thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. His vision for America's place in the new world order.
Returning vets could be a risk to our nation.
We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
And one of the ways that will drive the change is through global governance.
I think the new world order is emerging.
This is a hoax and a scam which is designed to transfer wealth and power from the private sector to the government sector and from the government of the United States to a world government.
And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global conspiracy theories, they've been crazy, but now they're right.
In short, the New World Order is a global corporate takeover. In their global corporate state, there is no room for individuality, sovereignty, or independence.
My friends, we are at war, and we have been under siege since 1933. The major problem is that we do not realize it. We have become so accustomed to being under siege by the enemy within that we do not realize that we are in a war to the death, and we are losing. Not only the war, but our country. We now must define that enemy within, his history, his status, and his techniques, chief among them being mass manipulation, coupled with the physical and psychological acts of terror. The enemy now dominates 6 of the 7 M's: money, media, markets, medical, mind, and morals. He desperately needs the 7th M, muscle, embodied in our military and its primary function, to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I'd like to quote from Book 2, which came out October of 2002. There's a very important paragraph there. It says, the trigger for the 9/11 activity was the imminent and unstoppable worldwide financial collapse, which can only be prevented temporarily by a major war, perhaps to become known as World War III. To bring it off one more time, martial law will probably be imposed in the United States.
And now we've seen General Eberhart say that that's the next step. Tommy Frank said that's the next step. Are those not chilling statements?
It is most unfortunate that these nefarious individuals who use the front name of Christian Action Network, but who are in fact not at all Christians, rather they are Zionist extremists, have started another phase of this so-called crusade.